Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. As you can see in the picture today, let's start the story of what if Issei got betrayed and become the Crimson Dragon God of Arcadia Part 3. Before we start, please go support Rage Reagan and Dark Decade 97 for writing that awesome fanfic. Now let's begin. Chapter 6, Academy of Technology. A few weeks later, Jade's laboratory, 9 a.m. The day was the examination day, where the candidates will be needing to show their creation in front of a panel of judges, all of whom will examine the creation that the student would make. The acceptance rate was much higher, at the very least as opposed to the Magic Academy, where only the best of the best managed to gain admittance. This was also the day that was looked forward by the Empress of Arcadia, who was curious and intrigued by the creation of what one of the candidates has to offer. She was interested in seeing what it is capable of. That candidate was Issei Haidu. His invention of Salium was something that caught her attention, and she was interested in the revolver that Issei would use. And speaking of Issei was maintaining the gun. It seemed to be at its final stages. He was testing in Jade's laboratory. He wanted to make sure there were no defects. He did not want the weapon to malfunction and cause problems, especially during the trial. He checked the compatibility of the weapon with his fighting style as well. Hey Issei, Jade came inside the room calling for him. It was upon her request and suggestion that Issei get the weapon checked. She needed to make sure that his creation does not go to waste. Otherwise, weeks of experimentation and material wastage would go down to waste, and Jade was not going to let that happen. Yeah, the gun seems to be fine. I highly doubt there is going to be a chance of a damage. Jade shook her head as she spoke. Remember the first lesson I taught you? Issei looked at her and nodded as he spoke. Always expect the unexpected. A technology can malfunction at any time, especially when you least expect it. Issei spoke as Jade nodded. She spoke from personal experience. She has had malfunction projects that have blown on her face before. She did not want to experience it again. Aside from that, you worked hard on this thing, and it would hurt if the thing you worked so hard on was destroyed. It would hurt, right? Jade spoke with a sad smile as Issei nodded in understanding. She looked at Issei. She helped Issei succeed, but at the same time, Issei was the one that did most, if not all of the work. Jade only guided him. He did the project and successfully finished it. Now Issei, tell me the second rule I told you. Issei looked at her and spoke. No technology or algorithm is perfect. There are flaws in everything, and these flaws can cause damages to your weapon. But you remember everything I taught you? Jade's face changed into a genuine smile. She soon spoke while walking towards the door. Well, this is it. Like I said before, you can let me know whenever you wish to continue with Project Honkai. I would love to help you in any way or work with you again. Just give me a call. K. Issei nodded as Jade smiled at Issei and spoke with a tone full of gentleness. All the best. Academy of Technology, 12 p.m. Issei stood across the academy. He had a smile, ready for the test that the academy has to offer him. He had the judgment of Shamash in his hands, which he kept in his inventory. He looked at the academy, which was advanced as opposed to any academy he had seen before. It was described to be as tall as a skyscraper with 2 pillar buildings and a center glass buildings. The entrance was stated to be a dome-shaped entrance with a lower level that had glass doors. Additionally, the building was next to several centers which were stated to house other laboratories meant for Arcadian institutions. Okay. Here we are. Issei was not amazed, not because he was not awed by the design of the academy. It was because he has seen it before when he came to check the campus earlier alongside Jade. He wanted to see how good the academy is. Jade allowed him to tour the campus, wondering whether he would change his mind. To her expectation, he did not deny and continued preparing for the examination. Soon enough he was about to enter the examination hall when someone came into his view. This was revealed to be Nyx. As she spoke, eyes looked at her and gave a smile as he looked at her and responded. Your classes, why are you not attending them? Eyes asked with a surprised tone. He had asked from Aqua for a holiday, which she agreed to do so. She knew why he wanted to have a holiday. This was due to the examination of Academy of Technology. Right now, it is break time. So I decided to come here. I mean, in the school there is no one that I can talk to. Nix looked at Issei, giving her reasons as Issei sighed and responded, You should make some friends. Folks in Arcadia are not like the people from our old world. We have been given a second chance to live your life. I mean, even though many people only want to become my friend because they wish to know more about me, that shouldn't stop us from making friends. Right, Nix? Nix looked at Issei and gave a smile. She wondered on which friend she could make. She had to decide on who she would befriend. She hoped that the military would give her a chance to befriend some people. Okay, but I believe you should head inside. The examination is going to start. Issei looked at her and gave a nod. They headed inside, where just like the Magic Academy, the academy was filled with students. Some of the students recognized him and were discussing amongst themselves. Hey, isn't that Issei? Hi, do you? The boy that reached Toricalcum in his examination. A female student then spoke. Yeah, he is, and look who is next to him, the black-haired beauty Nix. Another student agreed, to which she responded. Indeed she is, her magic power in darkness is really something, but why are they here? The student asked, to which her partner responded, It seems like they are here for the examination, just like us. The student started to murmur even more as Issei and Nix heard the two speaking. Nix enjoyed the attention she was getting. Being the primordial goddess of darkness and night, she had her fair shares of devotees and her followers that worshipped her all night in some cases. However, as time passed, and when Greek civilization fell, her followers dwindled, and there was no one left to worship or even talk to her. The Greek gods that people often talked about were Hades, Zeus, or Poseidon most of the time. She was eventually forgotten and was all alone. It felt nice to be getting some love. On the other hand, Issei was not a big fan of attention, but he tolerated it since many talked about his abilities and capabilities. But as time passed, he was also starting to enjoy a little bit of fame and love towards him. Nix looked at Issei and spoke. So how does it feel to enjoy love instead of hatred? Issei looked at her and responded, It felt good. The duo headed to the words as she spoke. Good afternoon. Tell me, what is your name and your purpose? Issei looked at her and responded, I was here to give an examination for the Academy's admittance. My name is Issei Hayadu. I registered alongside Miss J. Dark a few days ago. The receptionist nodded as she searched her files for Issei. She eventually found his name. She then spoke. Issei Hayadu, welcome. Your examination will be in 15 minutes. Please head to room number 7 when your turn is called. Issei nodded as he and Nix settled down in a nearby seat. She looked at Issei and spoke. Nervous? Issei shook his head and responded, None. Although I am surprised, there has been no aptitude or even proper interviews like most colleges or office interviews have. Issei spoke. If there was anything that did not sit right with Issei was the fact that this kingdom seemed to be as a utopia, not perfect, but a very strong utopia that even surpassed the cities of what Earth has to offer. I have to agree, the people in this world seem happy. The laws of the faunus make sure there are no racists, and they even have their own kingdom. I am seriously liking this world even more than my very own. Issei nodded in agreement as he spoke. True. I wonder what would happen if the factions find out about this place. Issei spoke as Nix looked at him and responded. I don't care about them. I have already seen Arcadia as my home, and they should think twice about attacking this place. It would be a death sentence and a one-sided massacre. Issei also added his own words. And true, if they attack my friends of this world, it's violence for me. If they get harmed, all bets were off. Issei spoke seriously and coldly, to which Nix gulped. She was worried on Issei remembering more of his past. However, as they were talking, someone was watching them. The being walked towards Issei and Nix as they spoke. Hide or right? Issei looked and was surprised to see the person. It was no person, but it was a Grimm. He had glowing wide eyes and a metal armor that would contain his body. His armor also has a medieval design, as well as held a sword in his hand. He also wore a crown. Nix was interested seeing him here. She never considered befriending anyone and was focused on her work since she wanted to catch up with Issei. Their Grimm Issei had seen Grimm before, but he never officially interacted with them. He did not know how they would react. Nix was also curious. She would finally make another friend. Indeed, you are issei hi too. The Grimm looks at Nix and responded, Nix. The duo nodded in agreement. As he spoke, I always wanted to meet you too, but I was too busy in my own kingdom. You too, I have heard of you. Anyway, my name is Invictus. It is nice to finally meet the two of you. The now identified Invictus greeted issei and Nix. As they accepted him, issei then asks, Say, what is your purpose? I mean, why did you come and visit us, Invictus-san? Invictus shook his head and responded, Please, no formalities, call me Invictus. Anyway, I wanted to ask, is it alright if we become friends? Issei and Nix were surprised by this. They never had anyone approach them for a friendship. They had admirers before, but this was the first time someone wanted to become his friend. S. had a past experience when he had friends, but all of those were turned against him, thanks to D. He shook his head, knowing that D won't try to do the same thing. However, he was still skeptical. Why do you wish to become my friend, or as a matter of fact our friend? Invictus shook his head and spoke. If you know about Grimm, then you are aware of our ability to sense malice and negative emotion, right? Issei nodded in agreement, as Nix spoke. Does that mean that? Nix had an idea of what Invictus was trying to speak. She understood that Issei must not have any malice, which would explain why those that properly knew him would be with him. Nix was also genuinely happy that she was not the only one that saw the truth in Issei, which made Nix mock Gabriel even further, even with her ability of seeing through someone else's heart. She failed to see the sheer arrogance that D had in him and fell only because he was good-looking and had high power. She hated Gabriel for hurting Issei even more. She could care less on what would happen to her, from here on out. I do, you have a little bit of malice and aggression inside of you. Nix's face vaulted upon hearing this, while Issei gave a small chuckle, remembering their first encounter with each other, which was one of the things he was going to be grateful for. However, with Issei, you seem to have no malice or aggression. You almost seem to be having no sort of malice or aggression. Usually people have that even in minimal amounts, but you seem to have none of that when I heard of you. I expected you to be prideful and arrogant, but I was wrong. You are kind, and that is what I can see. Invictus's words made Issei almost tear up. Only a select few have told him words like this. He managed to control his tears and responded. Thank you. Invictus spoke with a tone of gratitude, but he wanted to ask one final question. But are you sure you want to be our friend? I mean, we aren't so exactly sociable. Invictus shook his head and spoke. I don't mind. After all, you only need a select bunch of a few friends in order to live your life. Invictus spoke the words to which Issei agreed to it. He did not need the whole world like Dai did. He was not greedy and arrogant like him. I guess you are right. Issei puts his hand forward, and Invictus happily accepts it. He shakes his hands as Issei was surprised by how cold it was, so cold. Invictus gave a hearty laugh as he responded, I am Grimm, so it is natural for me to be like this. He soon turned his attention to Nix and spoke, I wouldn't mind being your friend as well. Nix smiled and happily responded with a cheerful tone, Me too, Invictus. The trio then soon heard a call as the receptionist spoke. Issei, hi, do, Invictus. Please head to the room 7 and room 2 respectively. The duo looked at each other and Issei asked, So you are also here for the exam? Invictus nodded as he spoke. Yep, and all the best. Let's hope that we both get accepted. Issei nodded as the duo headed to their rooms where Issei saw 3 smiley faces. Understanding that they were panelists, one of the panelists asked, So you must be Issei Haidu, the one that earned Uruk Alchemy in the Magic Academy? Issei nodded as he responded, Yes, sir, that is who I am. Another one then asked, Young man, don't consider this as me dissuading you from your dream, but will you be able to handle the stress that comes with handling 2 academies at once? We just want to make sure that you are ready for what comes in this academy. Essie nodded again and spoke, Yes. Yes. I am. I can handle stressful situations as well. I will be ready for whatever comes in the academy. The panelist then spoke to Essie. In that case, you show your technology that you have developed. Although, you must keep in mind that you need to explain the working of your technology as well. You will be graded according to the usage of your technology, as well as your explanation. Issei nodded in understanding. He knew that considering Jade had briefed him on what exactly he needed to do in order for him to reach the academy. Issei soon brought out 2 revolvers which were the judgment of Shamash in his hands, as he explained to what they are. This is Judgment of Shamash, my personal creation that can generate blasts as hot as the sun, which is a yellow star. Do you wish for me to demonstrate? The panelists had an expression of awe, as one of them responded. So it can generate blasts as strong as the heat of a yellow star here. You must use the weapon to burn down a block of metal that can withstand that level of heat soon enough. A block of purple metal was formed right in front of his eyes. Issei took aim and fired with the judgment of Shamash. The metal was starting to catch on fire before it was starting to be burned all the way down and reduced into nothing but mush. The mush was soon reduced to nothingness as Issei was about to use water magic until one of the panelists responded, "No, Issei Haidu, allow us to cool the flames." An energy Issei saw 2 hoses that generated an icy blast that completely froze the entire energy and flames. The other panelist then spoke. "Now, please do tell us, how did you make something like this?" Issei nodded and spoke. "You see, my gun is made of salium, an alloy I developed myself using several metals and nonmetals. It is an animatronic that can repair itself and correct itself when it is damaged while using the gun. Additionally, the crystal has magic that can use blasts that are made from flames generated by me. This allows me to fire blasts that are as hot as the sun," Issei explained to the panelists, who were all overjoyed that he managed to make a new discovery. While Issei was saddened he couldn't reveal Jade since she mentored him in making this gun. Additionally, she personally told him to not mention her mentorship since while it was allowed in the academy, it may be frowned upon by some of the panels who believed that one should work alone since projects they expected were basic level, like a chapid, not a literal gun that can fire shots that could rival the sun. "Congratulations, young man, you outdid every expectation we had for you. And I believe you would be a perfect fit for this academy." As I was overjoyed by this, he was considered being selected for this academy. He seemed to finally have a proper place here as the panelists spoke. "Although, you must keep the recipe to the alloy a secret. Your alloy can be considered as one of the most powerful that has ever been witnessed by Arcadia in general. No one must know what salium is made out of. People would want to know about its powers, so keep that gun and your alloy safe. All right?" Issei understood the meaning of the words of the panelists. He knew that in the wrong hands anyone could do anything with it. Especially some factions who hate him would want the weapon, and there was no way he was going to let them receive it. "Very well, you may leave now," Issei nodded as he left the room while the panelists were expecting their next contestant. 2 hours later, Issei, Nyx, and Invictus were seated waiting for their letters of admittance. All of the 3 were happy that Issei and Invictus, both of whom got selected for the academy, now all that waited for their letters. "Issei Haidu, Invictus, please head to the receptionist to take your letters." Issei and Invictus nodded as they headed to the receptionist with the woman stating, "Both of you, you are well accepted into the academy. May I wish you the best of luck in being here. You may open your envelopes once you head back home." The duo nodded as Invictus spoke with a smile. "Yes. We will be meeting again soon enough." Issei nodded as they both split up and headed back. Issei showed the letter to Nyx, who was as overjoyed as well. She then exclaimed, "Let's tell this to Jade. She would be happy on hearing this." Nyx spoke as Issei nodded in agreement. However, another voice came from the different side. "That won't be necessary, Issei." And Nyx turned to the one that spoke, where it was revealed to be none other than Jade Arc. She was accompanied by Anran and spoke. "Congratulations, Issei. You managed to get into the Academy of Technology. Although, I believe you can handle the stress just like you are able to handle my training." And grateful words made Issei have a genuine smile, while Nyx looked at the scene with happiness. She had met Anran before when she had come to take Issei for his training. "See, I told you you would succeed. Entry-level expectations were not high, but you took it 2 steps further. You invented a new alloy, and you made a new revolver that could generate blasts of the sun." Issei looked at the 2 and spoke. "Thanks, guys. It really means a lot." The duo smiled at Issei as Nyx spoke. Let us all celebrate your admittance into the academy, issei. What do you think we should do? And then suggested. Maybe we should go out to eat in a fancy restaurant, Jade added to a suggestion, as issei responded. I guess we can do that. I will call Hades and his family. They will be more than happy to celebrate with us. Issei's words made everyone agree to it. He was not sure on inviting Invictus since they were not well known. He also did not get his number. He will soon get his number the next time they meet. Additionally, he would have his own issues back at his home. He knows nothing about Invictus, but he will soon know more about him. Scene change. Dark Royal Castle, 4:30 p.m. Juniper watched the video of the revolver with an interested look in her face. She saw how Salium works. She was happy seeing that not only did Issei succeed, but he did so with flying colors. Very good, Juniper commented with happiness, as she was happy that Issei succeeded, and by extension, Jade succeeded as well. Additionally, she also understood that Issei's Salium must not fall into enemy hands, especially of a certain arc that had caused her family a lot of problems. I know that he also knows about this. Juniper was aware since most results are well broadcasted into Arcadia, and soon enough, everyone would know about Salium. She also shared the same views with the panelists that the recipe of one of the strongest alloys must not fall into their enemies' hands, since if they made weapons out of Salium, it would cause disaster. Well, she was happy with his say. She was worried that someone may use the boy. However, she was not the only one who shared her concerns. Someone else knocked onto the door to her room and spoke. Juniper, are you free? Juniper recognized who the voice was as she spoke with a smile. Julius, please do come in. I am free right now. Julius opened the door as he saw Juniper in a much casual clothing. He was having a worried expression on his face as he spoke. I saw the video of that boy. I wanted to. Juniper cuts him off and speaks. I know Julius. I know. He is one of the most powerful Arcadia has ever seen and has the potential to become one of the strongest and smartest Arcadia has ever witnessed. Julius nodded in agreement. Even he was concerned for the boy. He did not want him to be captured and used for their enemy's advantage. The council has come up with something he needs to be. Juniper once again cuts him off as she speaks. Please, I hope you are not. Julius shakes his head and responds, No. We don't intend to harm, or imprison him, or his family in any way. We are not going to fear someone who just wants to be free. The council wants to just have a personal talk with him alone whenever he is free. It will just be me and Liam, that is all. And if you are uncertain, we can bring in John or you as well. As you two are someone he trusts, we want to make sure he remains safe. Julius explains as Juniper frowns. She had no choice. With Esseal's invention being public, their enemies might have their sights on Esseal, and they feared that Essie or his family will be hurt, and that is something they don't want. I understand. Juniper spoke with a sigh as Julius looks at her and gives a solemn smile. I am glad that you do. You have my word. Nothing will happen to Essie. Julia soon leaves the room, leaving Juniper speechless. Now she had to find a way to talk with Issei whenever she is free. Scene change. Outlands. 6 p.m. Juniper was not the only one that was watching him, as the Arcs feared their enemies also know about Issei and are interested in him as well. It seems like this Esseal is capable of even something more. Vlad spoke with a sinister grin as Nicholas spoke. Indeed, that boy is special. Just imagine what we can do. Once we gain his power, we can succeed. The power of doubling and quadrupling his strength. Flames that can burn even the souls, leaving no trace, and to add it all, high intelligence and high magic spells as well. Nicholas spoke with a sinister grin as he spoke. Vlad, we should get him on our side by any means necessary. We can use his family as hostage. And Vlad cuts him off as he responds. Not today. We can't do that. I want to see more to see whether he is a good fit to lead the armies of the Black Arms. Vlad speaks seriously, to which Nicholas nods, albeit reluctantly. He understood that Vlad desires to see more of his say. Until then he refuses to act, which was foolishness in his eyes. Very well, we shall wait, Nicholas spoke, as Vlad responded. Speaking of which, Did you find anything about his Earth? Nicholas spoke in a serious tone. I can't say much, but I presume it is in the Milky Way galaxy, but it is far away from this world. Vlad was surprised by this, as he asked, then how did he and his family even get to Arcadia? Vlad asked, to which Nicholas shook his head and responded, I know nothing of that. I think in his case, it must have been a chance of luck. There was no spaceship or any sort of transport that would link me to it, but that is all I can say. I will continue to investigate as well as the Earth where that boy comes from, and if there is anything we can use against the Ark. Nicholas's smile goes even more sinister as he speaks. Then we shall use that as well. Vlad seemed to agree with this idea of Nicholas. He knew that this Earth may have something that can help take down the Arks. Chapter 7. Elderly Negotiation. A few days later, Academy of Technology, 12:30 a.m. Issei and Invictus were in the Academy of Technology as they were in their classes. They were done for their class at the time. The teacher had left a while back. The duo left the class and were walking towards the gate outside and heading to the cafeteria as is asked. Say, I wanted to ask. Grimm were aggressive. Right. Invictus looked at and nodded as he spoke. Yes, eons ago we were mindless beasts under the command of the god of darkness. But the ancient Grimm decided enough is enough and fled the lands. Where they ended up was that of Arcadia. The ancient Grimm built a settlement, and its species grew. They weren't the mindless creatures made by the god of darkness, but their own person. The Grimm started gaining sentience and became just like you, issei. The four founders discovered us and was met with hostiles at first, but in the end, we were able to create an alliance with the people of Arcadia, thus making the Grimm a part of their kingdom or empire now, and I believe the rest is history. Issei nodded in understanding as Invictus then spoke with a saddened tone. Unfortunately, the Grimm and the Four Kingdoms are still primitive beasts, monsters if you may. Although they are quite weak and easy to be killed, the armor I wear is just to show I have a physical appearance. My real appearance is just what I can describe to be a spirit of darkness in physical form. Issei nodded, remembering Invictus showing his true self to both Issei and Nyx. He understood that his true self would horrify any outsiders, but Issei and Nyx were not fazed by what they had seen, much to Invictus's surprise. Speaking of which, I have noticed one thing. Why do Arcadians hate the Four Kingdoms so much? There are very few people originally from the Four Kingdoms. Issei remembered as Anne and her family were one of the few that hailed from the Four Kingdoms. This included a certain Rose he had coincidentally met during his time while walking around the city with Nyx and Invictus. It is because of many factors, One of the first is the rampant corruption that is present throughout the Four Kingdoms. Then we have the huntsmen and huntresses that act more or less like mercenaries than heroes. And finally, the White Fang. Issei was surprised by this, as he asked. The White Fang, Issei asked? He heard of that organization, but whenever he asked anyone, he always was told that they are animals and not faunus. They never told him anything afterwards, as they always refused to talk about the White Fang. All he knew was that they were a terrorist group. They were initially a faunus group that desired equality in the Four Kingdoms, but as time passed, they turned more into militancy, and their views became radical. They no longer wanted equality, but wanted revenge. Worse, they eventually became a terrorist group that now destroys even those that peacefully coexist. We see them as nothing more than wild animals, and let's just say the Arcadian Franus hate them the most. Invictus explained to his Sei, who seemed to understand the situation. He now understood why nobody wanted to talk to his Sei about them. They hated them even more. I see now. That is why there is such intense hatred for the Four Kingdoms. Invictus nodded in agreement. He knew that even the Grimm Kingdom is not a big fan of the Four Kingdoms. However, there was someone whom they hate even more than they do for the Four Kingdoms. It was the false goddess, Salem. Speaking of which, do you know how Arcadia was even brought into existence? Issei nodded as he responded to Invictus's question. Yes. Yes. I do. They were created by the four founders, Anastasia, Apricity, Aurelia and Aurora Arc. They made Arcadia, and they were the reason why this kingdom even exists today. Invictus nodded as he continued. I see. So you are well versed with this place and its historical culture. Invictus and Essie were heading to the cafeteria when someone teleported right in front of them. The duo recognized the person to be the Empress herself. "Hello, Essie." Invictus Juniper greeted the two as both bowed in front of her. Juniper then spoke with a sigh. "How many times have I told you needn't bow in front of me, Essie?" Essie realized this and rubbed his head as Juniper looked at Invictus and spoke. "You must be Invictus, right? It is finally nice to meet you in person." Invictus respectfully responded to the Empress. "Indeed, it is Empress Arc." Juniper nodded with a smile as she looked at issei and spoke. "Anyways, do you have a moment?" Issei and Invictus were both surprised. She wondered what the Empress wanted with Issei, as he asked, "What is the matter, Empress?" Juniper's expression soon changed into a worried one as she looked at Essie and spoke. "The Elder Arcs would want to have a word with you, Invictus." And Essie looked at Juniper in shock. They never thought that the Elder Arcs would like to talk with Essie. But they did not understand why they wanted to talk with Essie. They had no choice but to talk with the Elder Arcs. Arc Council Rooms, 1:30 p.m. Issei, Juniper and Invictus were heading to the council rooms, where Issei is slated to meet the council members. Issei then asked, "Empress," but the classes Juniper cuts him off and responds, "You will be given the attendance as well as the notes needed, so you two needn't worry about that, okay?" Issei and Invictus nodded in understanding, while they wondered what the council wanted to talk to the boy about. Soon enough, they reached the council room where Issei finally met the two council members that wanted to meet them. Juniper then introduced them to Issei. "Meet my father Issei, Liam Arch, and one of my relatives, Julius Arc." Issei looked at them, and along with Invictus, he bowed before the two men with which Liam spoke. "No need to bow in front of me. Hi, dude. Please raise your head up." Liam soon looked at Invictus and responded. "You too, Invictus." The duo nodded as Juniper soon closed the door behind them as Issei asked, "Why did you close the door?" Before Juniper could answer, Liam spoke with a tone full of seriousness. "It is because word of our discussion must not go out from this room," Issei gulped. Although he did not disagree with the father of the Empress, as Julius spoke, "We wish to talk about Salium. Before you judge us, we are not going to do anything. We just have a few questions. I hope you don't mind answering us." Essie looked at Juniper, who nodded. She wanted Essie to trust them since this was her father she was talking about. Essie responded, "I don't mind." So what do you wish to know?" Liam then spoke in response. "The weapon, Judgment of Shamash, was created by Salium, right?" Issei nodded as Liam spoke. "Do you plan to improve on the weapon as well?" "Yes. Yes, I do. The weapon I developed is a prototype, and I want to increase its firepower, allowing it to go even beyond the heat of the sun as well." Liam nodded in agreement, as Julius spoke. "I see. Issei, may we call you that?" Issei nodded as he responded with a smile. "Yes. I would love that." Julius then continued. "Right, Issei, you see, we were having a discussion on Salium, and we were amazed by what it's capable of, but we also fear that people that are our enemies can use the alloy against us. They may use it for malevolent purposes. We know that you have no such intentions, but we are just worried on what will happen." "Indeed, Julius is right. We additionally want to know ourselves on what you need to do." Issei took a deep breath and spoke with a sad tone. "Truth is, my only goal, it is to start a new life here. I do not wish to talk about my old life anymore because of, circumstances. Truth be told, I just want to move on." That is all. Issei's tone seemed truthful enough, with Invictus sensing the sadness from his body. Being a Grimm allowed him to sense negative emotion. He sensed anger and sadness from Issei, but he wondered why did he have so much anger and sadness. What exactly happened to Issei such that he would be having such level of negative information? "I see. But I fear that may be harder than you realize, Issei." Julius spoke with a solemn tone, making the two wonder what they meant. Issei looked at Juniper trying to understand, but all he could receive was a look of sadness and worry. "What do you mean?" Issei asked, looking at Julius as he spoke. "You see what I am going to say. Let's just say that someone else knows about Salium as well. Someone that once tried to gain more power in Arcadia, could sense the anger in Julius's voice. He looked at Liam, who also had a similar expression, making him wonder and worry who was that someone that tried to do this. Juniper then explains to issei, he is Vlad Ark, he was once one of us. Until his betrayal, Juniper's tone also had anger inside of it. The mere mention of his name made the three Arks grit their teeth in anger, remembering on how he fought against his own family for power, while his issei were confused by this. He had no idea why they were so angry with him. Invictus was angry remembering the exile. Usually exiles are not talked about in Arcadia since they did not want to invoke any worry in the masses. There was silence for a while, after which Issei asked, Your Highness, who is this lad and why did he betray you? Issei asked with confusion in his voice, to which Liam spoke. He was once one of us. I think you are familiar with the Black Arms, right? Issei shook his head and responded. No. I do not. Not much. Liam took a deep breath and spoke with a sorrow tone. They are a terrorist organization, issei. Created by Vlad's family when Bianca was born, they once served Arcadia, eliminating supernatural threats, but Vlad he wanted more power and manipulated the family into giving him the power, thus leading to a conflict between the Arks. In his defeat, what's left of the Black Arms were exiled, same goes for Vlad. Liam explained as Issei frowned, noticing some similarities between his younger brother Dai, towards Vlad. He looked at Liam, who had an angered look on his face. Furthermore, we additionally fear that he would use Liam for his own purposes. He knows about it, issei. Issei was shocked by this, with Invictus being fearful. Invictus was especially worried for his friend. Liam and Julius looked at issei. The boy was only turning 20 years old, and they had no intention of pressuring him in any way. But they were worried on what is going to happen with issei, since he may potentially be Vlad's target. Additionally, he would do anything to gain your power, even going after Hades and his family or worse. Nyx was now angry. He was not going to let them hurt his family no matter what. Drake also shared similar emotions as well. They were not going to let them hurt Nyx or Hades and his family, although they had faith they could handle them, hopefully. But why are you telling us this? Like this information was to be hidden from the public, right? Liam shook in agreement as he spoke. We don't talk about him. The public knows about his crimes and his current state. Usually only those that have done grave crimes are sent to the Outlands to serve their punishment if they are exiled. There they have no support or connection from anyone in Arcadia. They are treated as criminals and disgraces, like they should be, and as for the Outlands, it is a dangerous place where not even the strongest survive. Hussein nodded, accepting this information. He made sure that Nyx and his family were not to be harmed in any way. He will crush anyone that tried to hurt or attack his new family no matter what happens. Your Highness, no matter what happens, I will not let Vlad or his Black Arms get their hands on Liam. He may know about this, but my family, they will be fine. You needn't worry about them getting their hands on them. The boosted gear activated on Issei's arm as Drake spoke with agreement. I agree with Issei. You have my word. Either Issei or me will let Vlad or those Black Arms get their hands on our tech. No matter what happens, Liam and Julius seemed satisfied. They were aware of Dreg that was in his sacred gear, while Juniper smiled, knowing Issei could be a valuable ally of Arcadia. She had faith in him since she heard from both Willow and Annette that Issei was an eager and a good student. I see. Well then, you too, I would advise you to take care of yourself. Since Vlad has been recently gathering more of the Black Arms to his side, you must be careful. Issei and Invictus nodded as Julius and Liam both got up. But just as they were about to leave, Issei asked, Can you two wait for a moment? Liam and Julius looked at the boy and asked, Is something the matter, Issei? Issei then spoke to the two men, Can I at least tell my family about this? They shouldn't be in the dark about what happened. Julius nodded in understanding as he spoke. You should, but no one else. All right. Issei and Invictus nodded in agreement. The two men soon left with Juniper speaking with concern. That went well. I hope you two are all right, Issei. And Invictus nodded in agreement as Invictus spoke. Indeed, Your Highness, we are all right. Is it all right if we head back to our dorms for the day? Juniper nodded in agreement as she teleported them back to their dorms. Invictus was sent to his dorm where the two friends parted their ways. Scene change. Issei's dorm, 9:30. Asiel was gathered among Nixon office who were in his dorm, while Great Red, Hades, Macaria and Melina were in holograms. They were talking from their dorms. Asiel had told them about what Liam, Julius and Juniper had told them about. They were worried about the Black Arms. As Hades then asked, "So this Vlad Ark you speak of, is he coming after us as well?" Issei nodded as he spoke. "Yes. I fear so. I was warned by the Ark Council about them. I highly doubt they will attack us since Arcadia is well protected. For now, at least. But sooner or later they will be making a comeback. They have been gathering forces and will strike when we least expected," Persephone then added. "This might be a problem." Issei agreed to Persephone's words as he spoke. "That is why I am concerned and worried for you guys. I am not going to lie. When I came here, I thought we would be having a new start to our lives, but I guess I was wrong." Office approached him and kept her hand on issei. No place is perfect, issei. Whether it be Earth or Arcadia, you should know that, issei. Office assured him, to which he gave her a nod, and Hades spoke with a smile. "I think you are forgetting something, I see. I am the strongest Greek god. Some humans won't threaten us and get away with it. We will show them that we are not to be messed with." Hades spoke with an assuring tone as he continued, "I am happy that you worry for us, but don't think that when you came here was a mistake. If anything, it is more of a blessing. Think on how things have turned out for you." Hades's words made Isaiah realize that he was being a bit overprotective, but it seemed this was in his nature to become overprotective for those that he cared for. "Hades is right, and I am the strongest being in our old world. There is no way some puny humans can attack and destroy us. We will be fine. And if I am not enough, my new dragon's friends are more than happy to pulverize those morons if they tried anything great." Red roared in agreement, as many sweat dropped at the big dragon's antics. Carrot Office muttered, to which Great Red responded, "You are one to talk, you introverted lazy dragon. You always avoid talking to dragons and just eat your chocolate." Office had a cloud of depression forming on top of her head. As Issei comforted her, she must still be nervous talking to other people. This was especially true after the hero faction harmed her, or at least attempted to harm her. What's worse was that Issei was not killed by the Chaos Brigade, or even by the hero faction, but it was his own brother who wanted him eliminated due to him being a nuisance. He knew that even if Issei is dead, nobody would come for him, no parents, no loved ones, no one would come for him. However, despite this, he still defended those that backstabbed him. Oh, what a fool he was! Issei actually regretted helping them. No, he regretted ever considering helping them. The breaking point was when Ingvald also betrayed him. "Anyways, you needn't worry about us, Ice-chan. We can hold our own against some humans who wants us to use us as hostages." Melino spoke with an assuring tone. She smiled, seeing that despite them being gods, he was protective and cared for them regardless. "I see. I guess I was being too much worried." "You will be fine," Assam uttered, as Hades then spoke. "But even then, you should be careful. The Arks are right about Salium being used against Arcadia. It is something powerful. Additionally, you should also be careful that those factions and worse, you clan, doesn't get their hands on your creation." Issei nodded on Hades's words. He was shunned by his own clan due to him not having high magical prowess or a sacred gear. Issei remembered his past, a part of his past where his own parents rejected him from a very young age. Due to him lacking magic prowess, unlike his younger siblings. The reason was that the Haida family was not just a regular family, it was a family or more or less clan of high magic-wielding mages that were known to have a high reputation in that family. This caused many to hate, love or respect them. As a result, Issei's father Gora Haida made sure that only the strongest wielded the Haida name, and those that didn't, they disowned, but were not barbaric enough to abandon them. Issei was neglected by both his parents due to this. This made him a prey to many of his siblings' injustices. However, there was one that loved him regardless of what he was. It was his grandfather Juzo Hayadu, an excellent skilled magician on par with even the ultimate class devil, and potentially he could even give a Satan-class devil a fight for their life, although he would lose. Additionally, he did not even have a sacred gear. However, Juzo died when Issei was just a mere 4 years old. When he died, Issei's life became hell. His parents neglected and ignored him. His siblings harassed and abused him. Even those that he became friends with turned on him. He did not have magic until he was 17 years old. He was a late bloomer, and it turned out, he was the one that possessed his grandfather's prowess in magic. From that he learned memory read, a magic spell that he can use to read someone's memory without them even the victim detecting this. This was how he learned basic level magic without even letting anyone else know. Additionally, he also did this to conceal his best friend, and he knew that if the factions knew about this, they would take Drake away from him, and he was not going to let that happen. He read the memories of Mephistopheles, Grifia, Leif and Lavinia, to name a few without them even knowing, gaining their knowledge in magic. He even saw an interesting section of memories belonging to both Grifia and Leif. He was a bit curious, but he chose not to see any further when he was warned by Greg that he was seeing something that belonged to their private life. Back to present time, he was with a family that genuinely loved him for who he was, a place that cherishes and values his abilities even if he is a prodigy, and cared for his well-being. That alone was a place for him. His and his family, Arcadia was his new home. You are right, Hades. I won't let those bastards get my stuff no matter what they do. His cold tone made the residents of the room understand that he was not messing around. If they tried any funny business, he will destroy them no matter where they are or what they do. I also agree. I refuse to see my relationship with the Olympians. They don't care for Ice-chan, and so I could care less for what happens to them. If they mess with Arcadia, they mess with us as well. Persephone's words were agreed by their daughters. Hades also agreed to this. He stopped seeing the Olympians as his relatives a long time ago, and hated for what they have become. They weren't there when his wife died, so why should he be there for him? Anyways, just be careful, all of you. I don't want to see any of you getting hurt. Hades spoke with a gentle yet stern tone as the others understood this. He soon said his goodbyes before the rest followed suit, and they disconnected their calls, leaving Essie, Office, and Nyx alone. Essie, there is something I want to do. It's time. Essie looked at her and asked. Time for what? Office changed into a more serious tone as she spoke. Your body seems to be ready. Thanks to the training and Willow have done with you, you should be able to access the full power of Dabulo's dragon. Issei widened his eyes as he remembered the first time he used it. He was almost put into a comatose state, and was in that state for weeks. But are you sure that my body can handle it? Office nodded as she spoke. Indeed, your magic level has increased significantly, and with the judgment of Shamash, and the fact that you only were a bit phased when the heat struck you in your face. Additionally, I don't wish to regulate control of that form of yours, Office declared, to which Issei nodded as he spoke. So what should I do? Issei spoke seriously, to which Office only gave a small smile and held his hand. She soon transferred a little of her power to Issei. Once this was done, Office spoke with a cheerful tone. All right, it is done. Now you wouldn't need me to chant alongside you when you access Dabulo's dragon, but there is a power that has been unlocked inside of you, a stronger form for Dabulo's dragon. Office explained to Issei, who nodded with a tone full of gratitude. Thank you? Office smiled in response as she soon spoke. Well, I gotta go to the Dragon Kingdom, so see you tomorrow, Issei. Office spoke with a smile before she teleported out of the window. She soon reached a different location of Arcadia, where someone contacted her and spoke. So you aren't going to tell him how you feel? Office shook her head and spoke. No, Baka read, he is still hurting. I don't think it is right for me to confess at a time like this. After that involved hurt him, I don't think he is ready for a relationship. As of now, Great Red sighed as he spoke. Very well, I am not going to force you, and I guess you are right. He needs someone that can heal his broken heart, and I think Nyx is perfect for it. Office nodded. Maybe she can confess at a different time. She soon teleported back to the Dragon Kingdom. Back with Issei, he took a deep breath and settled down. What happened today blew his mind. He was worried for Vlad coming for him and his family. However, he decided to not show that to Nyx for them to not be worried. So what now? Essiel looked at Nyx as she spoke. I am worried a bit. What should we do? Essiel looked at her and spoke. We can only wait so far. There has been no trace of the black arms or anything as a matter of fact, so we can only hope that they don't come until then. We get ready for whatever comes. After all, I have a feeling that they will soon attack since Vlad has been gathering followers. Issei's serious tone made Nyx nod in agreement. She will protect herself from Vlad or his allies no matter what happens. Chapter 8. Star of Eden. In the DXD world, Haida residence, 9:30 a.m. Unlike Arcadia, where months have passed, here only several days have passed, or in this case weeks have passed. A certain brown-haired boy has been moving side by side. He had a look of worry and fear etched in his face. This was Dai Haidu. "What's the matter, Dai? Your brother is not there to save your ass." Someone spoke to him as a black-colored gauntlet came on his hands. This was Crescent Moon Gauntlets, which was the sacred gear that hosted the soul of Krumkruch, the Crescent Circle Dragon, and the strongest evil dragon. "I doubt I will find a way to defeat them no matter what happens. Even if my stupid older brother is not here, I will find a way to defeat them." Crom could only mockingly laugh at his host, who only had base-level transformations, which was his own regular balance breaker. He also had high magic-level skills, thanks to his clan, and he was also a capable man as well with proper prodigal experience with swords and other weaponry, which allowed him to become well-loved and well-received by the factions. Despite this, the man did no single work in his life. He did not earn his position, nor he did anything. Everything that he had achieved was built on the work Issei did. He never did anything to earn the girls that he loved. Crom responded to him with a mocking tone. "You know. At this point, I pity you." He left, since he did not want to deal with the bullshit you and those stupid faction leaders had to deal with. I expected him to expose you, but alas, he left, not wanting to suffer anymore. Crom spoke with genuine sadness at the last part. He wished that his say at the very least exposed him and dealt with his brother. I clicked his tongue in frustration. Without his brother, he was having difficulty dealing with the current problem. This was due to the Chaos Brigade not being gone. They had made a comeback as Neo Chaos Brigade. They have been attacking different locations in the factions, causing even more problem. Additionally, it was revealed that Rezavam, Liv and Lucifer had survived even after the Evil Dragon War, and had been strategically attacking certain parts of the factions, rescuing some old enemies, and had been creating problems to the factions. However, despite this, the factions believed that Dai would find a way, but without a say, he would be having it harder, as he responded to Crom. "The factions will bring back my foolish older brother. No matter wherever he is, he will be back, Crom, to once again help me. And worse, they believe me over my stupid older brother." Crom absolutely had nothing but disgust for his older brother when he heard of this. He wanted to get out but couldn't, and there was only one person he could curse on due to this, and that was the biblical God. He finally decided to speak up since no one would hear his voice. "You know, for once, stop acting like a brat and actually do something in your life. At the very least, try to become a better person, but you won't, would you? I can't wait for your downfall, Dai. Your empire will fall one day, and I think this is just the beginning. It is only going to get worse for you, Dai. Goodbye." Prom cut off the connection, causing Dai to get even more frustrated. He still remembered the brutal harassment to say put him through. He had to find a say, so that he could personally teach him a lesson. He sat on the couch frustrated, vowing to teach his brother a lesson he won't forget. However, someone knocked on the door. She was a woman who had waist-length orange-brown hair that is tied in a single small ponytail on the back of her head, while she leaves the rest of her hair down with bangs hanging over her face, while she has 2 strands sticking out above the rest of her hair, reddish-brown eyes, and she has a slender figure with ample breasts. This was Ike Haidu. "Hey, brother," Ike spoke with a neutral tone as Dai greeted her and spoke. "Say, what brings you here, sister?" Ike looked at him and spoke. "I wanted to know, do you know where Issei is?" Ike asked to Dai, who shook his head and spoke. "Azazel states that there has been no trace of him. Nothing, he, Nyx, Hades, they have just gone, left without any trace. It was almost like they were never there." Dai spoke while pretending sadness. He couldn't let them know about that. He hardly cared for them. Ike had a frown on her face as she spoke with a cold tone. "I can't believe how selfish my brother is. He wanted to take your lovers, and now he is gone. Just how selfish and arrogant he can get. Aika spoke with a cold and an angry tone as Dee spoke with a sigh. I know, but we need to locate him. Right. Aika looked at him and nodded. The factions hardly care for him, and only Dee seemed to care for AJ, despite him being disowned. Anyway, we should get changed. We will be meeting Athena for my engagement with her. Aika again nodded as she gave a smile. She then spoke. Someone is curious to meet his new bride. Dee had a small blush on his face as she soon chuckled and said her goodbyes to him once she left. Dee had a look of perversion, while Crom could only frown in disgust seeing Dee's nature. Several weeks later, Jade's laboratory, 1:30 p.m. Issei was in the laboratory, as he seemed to be working on a sort of purple crystal in his hand. This purple crystal was no ordinary crystal, however, this was a specialized crystal. It was meant for a different purpose. Now Yace was even back in the laboratory again. It was because he wanted to continue with Project Honkai, and he was certainly going to create something new. He immediately contacted Jade, who was more than happy to help him with the new project. However, this time, he wanted to manipulate gravity without a problem. To which Jade suggested him to learn gravity magic first, which was helped by Aqua. She was more than happy to teach him that. He mastered the basics in the first few days itself, and this surprised and excited Aqua as well. She was happy to have such a strong student. He decided to work on something that would allow him to manipulate gravity without a problem. The crystal was soon done. It was done with the same material as the sun crystal was used for the judgment of Shamash. However, it was more advanced and more capable. He worked on it for days. Since gravity magic was more unstable, he needed additional work on creating the crystal. Jade and Akra helped him in wherever they could, but everything was done by Issei. He developed the cane needed for containing the crystal. It was a regular cane with a specialized top that would contain the crystal. Additionally, it had a black covering, as well as a silvery top on the other side. The staff itself was made out of psyllium, with a black covering made out of thin obsidian, which was only made for decoration. Okay. This Don Issei spoke with a smile, proud of his second creation. The full potential is still unknown. He also created something that would contain the crystal as well. He used it to insert the crystal. The container, like the staff, was made out of psyllium. It was now fitted perfectly. Hey Jade, Aqua, come here. It's done, as they called the two arch-sisters that were present in the laboratory. Soon enough the two arch-sisters show up. As they look at the staff, they were surprised by what they had seen. As Aqua asked, "Does this have access to gravity magic?" Issei gave a nod as he spoke. Indeed, he does. However, it is still needing some work, or more accurately, the core of the staff needs work. Aqua looked at it, and examined it for a moment. She sensed the magic emanating from the crystal and noticed several flaws inside of it. She knew it may become haywire when the time comes. She also saw it to be unstable, as there was a chance the crystal may explode when the time comes. I see. You are right. Gravity magic is a complex magic. The good thing is that you are able to have a good grasp of the magic circle when needed. But incorporating it in technology, I am not sure if it would work. Gravity magic is one of the most complex magic that a person can learn, and very few people can master it. Issei nodded in understanding. He was another of a few people that could master it. I guess we probably needed to use adamantine to control the instability of the gravity magic, Jade suggested, to which Issei agreed. Adamantine can work, and he removed the part on the top of the staff. As he applied adamantine to the gem, he took some time to do so, and it looked the same. He noticed the gem glowing in a better condition. The Quaz once again examined it, and noticed the magic settling down well as she commented. Now give it a try, I see. Kunis looked at the staff and noticed the glow becoming even more stronger. He had a feeling that adamantine would be perfect for it, since it was known as a stable magical metal meant to store even the most unstable of mana. Issei smiled seeing his creation as Jade soon suggested looking at the staff. I'd say we head to the training room to test this thing out. Issei gave a nod as the trio soon headed to that location. Aqua had a sudden smirk in her face as she eyed her sister and picked up a nearby paper, and she quickly took a marker pen and wrote something with it. She soon stuck it to Jade's back without her or AC even knowing. They headed to the training room, where this time instead of a material cube, there was several turrets with elemental magic. Like always, Jade headed to the control room. Aqua was in the watching room where she sees issei. They had worked on the staff for days. Now they will see the results. Alright, issei, you know what you need to do, right? Issei gave a nod as Jade continued to announce, this time you will have several turrets that will fire several magic spells that would comprise of ice, fire, electricity, water, to name a few. Your goal is to use the staff to create high magic gravity spells that would defend yourself from the spells. Got it? Issei gave a thumbs up to Jade, who gave a smile. Jade then spoke with a serious tone. Alright, attack beings, in 3.2.1. Now as soon as Jade spoke now, she pressed a button as all the turrets aimed at issei. They soon fired different colors of energy, which upon closer inspection were magic beams of elemental magic. As soon as they came close, issei twirled his staff and generated a small orb of magic. What is he doing? Jade looked at the scene in worry she would step in if things go worse. She knew that issei will be fine, but was worried. Similar expressions were seen in Aqua, who on the other hand was ready to teleport to rescue her student from the attack. She already had a teleportation circle ready, not knowing that such an attack would do nothing to his issei. However, what they soon saw was the black orb of magic was sent in the air, and it soon became an orb of highly concentrated gravity magic, which Aqua recognized when she saw the orb go up. She was unable to see properly before that. She soon dispelled the teleportation circle, knowing that issei would be fine. The magic attacks were sucked towards the black orb of magic, which had turned into a black hole. The magic attacks soon dissipated into nothingness, with the black hole damaging even some of the room. Issei slammed the staff to the ground as he destroyed the black hole into nothingness. The black hole collapsed, sucking up the air towards the point before releasing an explosion of air towards issei and the turrets, which made issei stagger a bit. Issei Aqua shouted in worry. However, they saw issei putting a hand in front of her, implying that he was fine. While Jade was trying her best to stabilize the field, the gravity magic released from this was even more surprising. It was powerful enough to create black holes, and they knew it was not the strongest the staff was capable of. The air suddenly died out and everything returned to normal. The turrets were partially damaged and everything returned to normal. The two immediately rushed to the testing room as Jade asked, "Are you alright?" Issei gave a nod, taken aback by the power of the staff. He looked at it in fear and awe at his creation. Jade then spoke. "I never thought that this would be powerful enough to generate black holes. This may be one of the most powerful weapons you have created." Issei agreed with her words as she continued. "Yeah. The Star of Eden is really something. My intention was to manipulate gravity. Never thought it would create its own gravitational star and almost result in an explosion." Aqua then added to her own words. "Indeed, gravity magic is complex, but if used properly, it can be considered as one of the strongest magic of all time. Black holes are only one property of what the staff is capable of." Aqua spoke, as issei gulped. Drake also added his own words. "It almost felt like dealing with magic that is on par with God's, generating black holes out of nowhere. This is really powerful, reducing magic to nothingness, and that is only its basic state. The full power of the staff can be really something to contend with." Drake gave his own words to the trio, who shivered, pondering just how powerful the Star of Eden is. And even Jade did not comment on the name given to his issei due to the power wielded by the staff. "We must let the Empress in on this. This creation is powerful, and we can't let anyone else wield it." Aside from issei, Aqua spoke, to which Jade agreed. If the Star of Eden fell into the wrong hands, this would potentially cause nothing but cataclysmic destruction in Arcadia. They have the power to stop a black hole, but the damage will be severe. Issei reluctantly agreed to this. He did not want to do this, but the Star of Eden is extremely powerful with its full potential still unknown. He soon noticed something stuck to Jade's back. "Jade." Jade looked at him and spoke. "Yes. There is something stuck behind you." Jade took it and was beet red when she saw what was written on the paper. It was written, "Jade is nothing but a broken," signed Aqua. Jade angrily tore the sheet of paper as issei flinched by the anger. He did not understand what was written in the paper. She looked around to see Aqua gone, leaving no trace of her left, meaning that she had left as soon as Issei told her about the paper. Aqua, Jade yelled at the top of her lungs in fury. As Issei realized that it must have been something embarrassing which was written on the paper, he decided to not talk about that. Scene change, Arcadian Training Center, 4:30 p.m. Juniper was also present with and during the training center, alongside Jade, Aqua and Issei. Aqua had a small boil on her forehead as she groaned in pain. This was due to Jade finding her and smacking her on the forehead before they talked to their mother about the situation. The Empress heard what to say. Jade and Aqua had to say about the Star of Eden, which made Juniper and then wide-eyed. They knew the applications of gravity magic, which could even generate black holes, but it was only mean for highly experienced mages in the field, not someone who just literally learned that magic a few days ago. It was because black holes were basically stars having their own center of gravity, which caused them to suck anything towards them into nothingness. It was one of the highest levels of gravity magic, and use of it was forbidden, especially in the city gates for a reason. I never thought the Star of Eden would be this powerful. I am sorry. Empress Issei took the blame for his experiments. He never expected it to be this powerful. He only wanted to use the staff to manipulate gravity, but his prowess and magic had other intentions. It's not your fault, Juniper assured him. No one was harmed during the experimentation and creation of the Star of Eden. At this point, Juniper knew Issei's intentions to be that of a good man. He never thought that the Star of Eden would become this powerful. However, this level of power must not be ignored. However, I can't ignore what has just happened. The Star of Eden is a powerful and dangerous creation, Issei. Juniper spoke with a serious tone. She knew the dangers of a black hole, and she was not going to let it run around. Additionally, she knew Issei was a person that does not want to harm anyone innocent, but was worried for him. Issei meanwhile gulped in worry and fear. He knew his chances of staying in Arcadia may be reduced. Even Jade and the Qua along with him had a bit of worry, the latter being concerned for her student. Promise me, Issei. Juniper spoke with a solemn yet serious tone. As she spoke with a serious tone, promise me, you will not use the Star of Eden's power until it is absolutely necessary. The power that staff possesses is dangerous, and if it falls into wrong hands, it will cause nothing short of destruction and damage in Arcadia. Juniper is right. The fact that its power can generate black holes will cause a problem, especially if you fail to control it, Ice. Please understand, you must keep the staff's power with you and not use it until you have absolutely no choice. Issei understood what the Empress meant. They all were expecting his answer. Issei looked at them and nodded. He had to agree that the Star of Eden is powerful than he ever expected. He had to be careful with what it is capable of. I understand, Empress. It will not use its power, will not be shown unless I deem it absolutely necessary. I give you my word. I will not use its power ever and stick to judgment of Shamash. Juniper, and then smiled at this as she spoke. Thank you, Issei, although I have a feeling that you may need it sometime in the future, so keep it in your hands. Grasp. Juniper's words made Issei nod as he knew that he would be needing in the military. He heard from John about several missions. The Star of Eden's power is dangerous, but it can be used for such purposes, and if he is a leader, he won't hesitate to use this power to save his battalion at all costs. He would even use judgment of Shamash to save the lives of his allies. Very well, another thing, the Star of Eden's power must not leave this room, all right? The three nodded in agreement, as Juniper soon added. In that case, we can leave. Issei, regardless of the dangers, be proud of yourself, you are really going to be successful in the future. Issei had a small blush upon hearing the compliment, as he spoke while rubbing his head. Thank you, Empress. Juniper chuckled as she, Aqua, and Jade left despite the dangers of the Star of Eden. They were proud of Issei creating a powerful weapon capable of summoning and potentially controlling black holes. Although Issei still needed mastery over this level of magic and then spoke, so, Ice, have you been learning more about sword styles? Issei gave a nod as he spoke. I have been reading the book that you have given me, the Book of 10 Rings, which allowed me to master some of the stance. Issei then spoke while rubbing his head in embarrassment. I tried using Void Stance, but even with several boosts, I tend to lose control and almost fell multiple times, although I can perform wind, earth, and water without a problem, and nodded in agreement. Void Stance is one of the hardest stances he has ever learned, and additionally, he barely even got time to handle 2 academies as well as handle her training. She normally expected more progress from him, but given what he is going through, she understood his situation. It is actually though, and no need to be embarrassed for your failures. It is a step in the right direction. I mean, you did fail multiple times before creating the Judgment of Shamash, as well as Star of Eden. Right. Asil gave a nod to En, who spoke. Then you need not worry. You will learn then as time passes. If you focus on your training, you will learn Void Stance. Asil nodded as he agreed to En's words, with Drake stating, Void Stance is one of the hardest stances, right? And nodded in agreement with her, responded, Yes, it is one of the hardest, on par with Dark and Light Stance. I would normally recommend to learn the easier stances first before moving on to the harder ones. Issei looked at her, and gave a nod in agreement. Alright then, and unsheathes her katana and wakizashi and points it at Issei as she speaks. Now let us begin your training. Issei soon grinned as he spoke. As you wish. Issei summoned 2 twin pistols in his hands and spoke. Balance break. Welsh Dragon Balance Breaker. Issei entered into his balance breaker as the 2 then charged for battle, ready to take the other out. He knew that this match would be really something. 2 hours later, Issei was breathing heavily. He had his 2 revolvers still on. His armor had been partially damaged thanks to Issei's attacks well and kept her calm. She had already been keeping up with Issei effortlessly. However, his strength was increasing session after session, something that En was proud of. Alright, that's enough for the day, and unsheathed her blades and Issei dispelled his guns. His armor soon fell off, and he walked towards a nearby seat to take some rest with him sitting beside him. Say, what was your life when you were back home? Judging by your capabilities, you must have an amazing life when back home. Issei flinched. This was the second time someone asked him this question. First it was Willow who asked upon his parents, and then it was an Issei decided to tell a portion of the truth. No. It was not. I never got the chance to show them my talent. And I really don't want to wish to be reminded of my past. Please. Issei's words made him widen her eyes. It was a bad past that he did not wish to dwell on. The Arcadian samurai narrowed her eyes and knew that something bad must have happened. She decided to not press on it, and responded with a solemn tone. Very well, I will not put pressure onto you. But if you ever need to talk to someone, and kept a hand on Issei as she spoke, I will always be there. Issei looked at her, and gave the solemn nod as En gave a smile to him. She soon got up and spoke. I think you should be heading back. Since you will be having your exam, and there may be a chance that you will be graduating earlier than before. Issei was surprised by this as he asked, but why? And looked at him and responded, You and your friend have been scoring quite well in your examination. Plus, the fact that you developed your own magical weapon is being watched, and many of the faculty are considering to get you graduated. Along with your friend, so you better be ready. Issei looked at her and asked, What will I be up against in the examination? Will it be a written exam or will it be something else? And looked at Asil and spoke, You will be up against someone that the academy chooses. You have to either win or survive against that person in order to graduate. Don't worry, you will be getting ample of tries before you can graduate, alright? Issei nodded in response as he speaks. I won't disappoint you, and then looks at Issei and speaks with a smile. I know you won't, but you best be ready for whatever that comes against you. And spoke before teleporting away, leaving Issei there. He pondered on what will happen, but he is ready for what will happen next. Thanks for listening to my video. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe and comment below your favorite part. Sayonara, see you in the next video.